we had dinner at a place called Bogart's. It had pictures of Humphrey Bogart all over. And the waitress was fantastic. Had no idea who we were. I mean, and that was a type of entertaining spirituality, I'll put it that way. And it could be because I had Corky traveling with me, who has never met somebody that wasn't a friend, because everybody was just smiling. And I thought, you know, there are so many things that we talk about, but we don't let ourselves experience. And that's it, that experience of being with strangers in a positive way. I mean, if people say, well, what if they don't like me? You know what I say? Oh, they don't know what they're missing out on. Yep. You know? Because people said, be careful, you're going to be in Utah. And there's a lot of Mormons there. Yeah, there are, about 70% Mormons. Nobody said anything about it. What are you doing here? Doing readings? What are you doing here with your partner? I mean, there's a lot of things that could come up. Instead, it was all about love and how do you like Utah? My aunt lives in Petaluma. One lady says, "Oh, my son, he lives in California. I don't know if you know him or not. He lives in San Diego." So your son doesn't.
Yeah.
But that spirituality, that faith in miracles. Do you realize that what you go into when you become spiritual? You have a faith. And it's that everything is miraculously going to happen. And miracles kept occurring. And you forget sometime when you're going about your day that there are miracles until you have no idea where you're going. You don't know when you're going to get there. And you're not even sure which road you're going to take.
You don't even know where you've been.
And you put it out to the universe and say, here we are. And whether you call the universe, Creator, Mother, Father, God, celebrate that ability to be a spiritual being walking whatever path, even if you've never walked it before. People say, why do you have the Center for Creative Living? You don't have any dogma. You don't tell people they're wrong. You don't say, hey, you have to be a certain religion. And I went, why is that? Well, it's because we're communal people. Human beings are communal people. From the first time that the first couple of people, 3 people, 4 people, they felt it was safer, it was easier to be in a group. And that's what we have here as a community. People come here and they stick and they go, hey, I like this. I talk to somebody about Judaism, or I talk to somebody about the goddess, or I talk to somebody about Judaism. I can talk to people about all the religions that I'm possibly interested in and take the bits that really work for me. Isn't that fun? You're kind of cherry picking your own faith by taking, because each one of the religions have something very positive about them. And so in a spiritual church like we are, we can go through and take all these wonderful good attributes and bring them all together in a community. So when you have a home base like CCL, what do we provide for you? Laughter, love, good food, energy, but also we have ministers that they do weddings, they do memorials. They're there when you call them. They give you counseling. I did a naming ceremony before I left, which is a welcoming this wonderful little being onto the planet. And because they had come here from North Carolina and they had said, it's not going to be religious, is it? And I said, it'll be spiritual. And afterwards they said, we're so glad we're here. And we're so glad that our dad was able to come from France. Never had anybody travel quite that far for a ceremony. It was kind of nice. But here, and we also honor nature. So whether we're honoring your roots, whether they be Catholic or whether they're Judaic, whether they be Buddhist, whatever they are, we're honoring who you are. But you're also honoring Mother Nature. And one of the things we talk about here is how to live a life without abusing it, without misusing what our wonderful, wonderful source has given us. And when you think about that, I want you to realize that your presence here this Sunday says, I believe. I believe that there is an existence And you know, if you don't believe there's an existence, that's perfectly okay. We have people who come here who are agnostic and who are atheist, but they like being around people who don't judge them. Have you ever met somebody who says, I don't believe in God? And I go, oh, good for you. They look at me like, I don't think this is going the way I thought it was going. I'm talking to a minister, and she's supposed to get real upset because I believe that everybody has the right to their own faith and to their own belief. And when I was looking up about how did people discover their spiritual side, I got some real interesting ones. One is from John Lennon. He opened up and said how he discovered God. And he says, you don't have to have a great faith or anything. The whole thing is so simple, as though it's too marvelous to be true. Lennon said when he discovered transcendental meditation in India, I don't and never did imagine God as one thing, but now I can see God as a power source or as an energy. To go from not seeing anything to accepting that power source or that energy, and that's what a lot of people did. He also went on to say, it's all like one big jelly. that's the kind of, is that pudding? Yeah, it's one big pudding. We're all in that big jelly. Now, with nearly 1 in 5 Americans identifying as spiritual, but not religious. Just think of all the successful people in all of these professions that say meditation is what got them where they wanted to be. Jim Carrey is one that he just sat down one day and started working on belief as helping out his career. Because he realized that things were not illusions, things were real. He said that spirituality was what helped him through bouts of depression and helped him to engage with the world from a more loving place. And Steve Jobs, who was a practicing Buddhist, and talks about different aspects of what he did. He was a very difficult man to get along with. And yet he had found a place of serenity in Buddhism. Ellen DeGeneres, she went through a really rough time in 1997 when she proclaimed herself as a lesbian and everybody turned against her. And what she said is that she found her center and created a spiritual lifestyle, becoming a vegan and a yogi. And she felt that those are what grounded her and gave her the peaceful feeling that she could love so much. And as you know, she went on to become very successful. Oprah Winfrey talks about her spiritual guidance and meditation as how she moved herself forward. Tina Turner had gone through a really rough time with Ike. Rita was going through a rough time. And all of a sudden, when she found Buddhism, she started chanting. And she says that she's been chanting now for 35 years, and it opened up a whole new life for her. And it goes on and on of these people who were feeling they weren't any good, they weren't loved, they weren't wanted, they weren't appreciated. They started taking the spiritual route, whether it's doing yoga, whether it's doing meditation, whether it's just going out in nature and being, but finding their path. And when you look at your path, think about how do you work in the world? How do you find your source of power? Because meditation doesn't take away your power, it adds to it. Yogis find all that wonderful meditation, and we have our yogi master here, Laura Marshall, and you go and you take a class from her and you come out just feeling so much better about who you truly are. So look at those aspects of your life that make you feel that you have regained your power through going inside and connecting with Spirit. Okay? And now guess what we're going to do? We're going to get a little talk from our wonderful Reverend Ann Corbin. And on this purple paper that I passed out, it talks about today is a day of peace. It's September 21st. I just want you to read this at your own leisure. And Ann is going to be talking about why we're going to do apples and honey. And know that this month is a National Honey Month. Isn't that fun? Yeah. Hey, bees.
You know who else is raising bees right now is Elizabeth Barton. She started raising bees.
Barton's raising bees too. Yeah. Okay, would you like to get behind here, my dear?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Good. Good. I know you have such a soft, delicate voice. You need the...
Yeah, I have such a soft, delicate voice. So, for those that don't know, first off, I'd like to thank Mel for the prayer that you brought this morning. They're actually prayers that you brought, because actually what you did was you read all the prayers from each of the days of Rosh Hashanah, and he brought them in English, because God doesn't hear a language, God hears our hearts. Okay. So what is Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is actually the new year, the Jewish New Year. And so the greeting is Lashana Tova. So everybody, Lashana Tova, everyone. What Lashana Tova means is peaceful and happy new year, new blessings, new beginnings. The Rosh Hashanah is the beginning that brings about the new year. Starts with not a, hey, let's get drunk and let's get happy and let's get high. It's a time of introspection. You are looking inside, because what you're trying to do is, I don't like the word, look at all your sins for the year, okay? What did you do that harmed other people? How were you unkind? How were you, did you, do something that was not a kind act? We all have those moments. We're human. That's why God put us in the human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are human. But this is our time to not only look within and say, I did some wrongs during the year, but it's the time to also begin to make amends for it, because what it leads up to is Yom Kippur. And Yom Kippur is the true Day of Atonement, which is the day that you go and make peace with God. And in the old sayings of the Jewish religion, they say that God either opens up the book of life for you, or the book of death. Meaning that it's up to you, that if you don't find your peace within, you're not going to feel good inside yourself. This is your opportunity to cleanse with that. So when you tell someone Lashana Tova, what you're doing is you're wishing them an opportunity to release. So some of the ways that are released are, one of the things that I heard in Mel's prayer that he brought was the word mitzvah. A mitzvah is a good deed. So the time of Rosh Hashanah that's coming up this week, the 24th through the 26th of September, that's a time for doing good deeds. Open a door for somebody at the store, or let them go in front of you in line, or just simple little things, smiling at somebody, all those random acts of kindness that we could be practicing every day, sometimes forget. But this is a time to be extra conscious of that. Okay, and so these are really the times of good energy and good love. So some of the ways that you can also, they tell you to throw away your negative energies. So I've seen a lot of different ways with this, and actually one of the traditions that I love is filling your pockets with bread and going to a river or a lake and feeding the birds, feeding the ducks, and giving. So you're actually giving loving energy away as well. So that's another type of a mitzvah. And there are two major traditions in Rosh Hashanah, at Rosh Hashanah time. One of the biggest is that it's the time to hear the shofar. And the shofar is the big ram's horn that you hear. And there's a specific prayers and soundings of that. And that's what Corky and Mel were trying to set up earlier. But let's hear the sounds of the shofar right now, please.
Okay. That's the one that's 2.
That's 10 seconds in, yeah.
Announcing the new year.
There we go.
Almost good.
Perfect.
Tekiah Shvarim Trua Tekiah Gdola
That's it. For me, that brings back a lot of memories. I love the sound of the shofar. And I love the beautiful energy that it brings. I don't know about the rest of you. It's almost like hearing the Hawaiian, the conch shell being blown. Not yet. Woo! Corky is really excited today. Wow. Yeah. She's looking forward to the celebration. Because actually, Rosh Hashanah, in the traditional days when I was a child, it was a very somber time. And there's a lot of time that's spent in temple. And absolutely nobody works on Rosh Hashanah. That is something that is not to be done ever, okay? So, and especially if it lands on Shabbat, which is the Sabbath, which is Friday night through Saturday at sundown. So Friday at sundown through Saturday at sundown. Not supposed to do any work, but there's special prayers when Rosh Hashanah lands on the Shabbat. But one of the fun things is that what we want is to start our new year off sweetly. We want to have a beautiful energy and a lot of sweetness beginning our new year. And because what we're doing again is we are making atonement for ourselves and for others that we will then bring to God on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And that's when the gates of heaven open for us to pass through and feel our lives renewed again. So the tradition that often happens is dipping apples into honey and eating the apples. And basically the idea behind that is to wish each other and to have the symbolism of a sweet new year, the beginnings of sweetness, the beginnings of new energy. So I brought this song a couple of years ago. I love it. I have never seen anybody in any Jewish temple celebrate the way that we do, and I love the way that we celebrate. We have a song that's called Dip Your Apple, and it's really fun. And as we're playing it, everyone just come up and get a piece of apple. And do we have napkins up here, Corky? We probably want to bring napkins so that we don't drip honey on the just cleaned carpet. So before so is there any questions about Rosh Hashanah while we're waiting for all napkins or anything? Yes, Mel.
Does it always start on the 20th?
No. It always starts. The Jewish calendar is lunar. And yeah, and it remains that way. So it always falls approximately the same time period, but it has something to do with the first new moon after such and so a date, and so it's always right around this time, but never on the exact same dates. The same goes with Hanukkah and any other Jewish religion. Same with Yom Kippur.
And it always lasts 2 days?
It always is 2 days. Yeah, well, 3, 24th, 25th, 26th. So. Yeah, Kathy.
Are there any traditional foods around that time?
The traditional foods are sweet foods. So sweet breads, the honey's dipped in apple, the apple dipped in honey. The anything that's a little sweet cakes. That's the normal traditional food because that's the food again to remind us to begin a sweet new year.
And if you notice what's on the table back there, it's nearly all sweet things.
Nearly all sweets today, so we are absolutely within that tradition.
Do.
Yeah. What else is new, Patty? Yeah. Well, if honey, a little honey won't hurt you. All right. So, Mel, would you start the song, please? And Lashana Tova, everyone. You hear the shofar starting.
A new year rising, a new beginning. Lift your head up, turn yourself around, the world is spinning. Feel the magic of the new day. Open your heart to a fresh start, send your fears away. You've made mistakes, you feel it. You got what it takes, believe it. Any wrong can be made right, just forgive me, you need not fight. Shana Tova Umetuka, it's Rosh Hashanah. Shana Tova Umetuka, it's Rosh Hashanah.
So many new hopes waiting to find you. Open your eyes, the dreams and cries are all around you. The smiles are hiding, no mixing guessing. Make up your mind, go and find life's simple blessing. This is your time, you feel it, how sweet it is. Believe it, any wrong can be made right. Just forgive, you need to fight. Shana Tova, it's Rosh Hashanah. Shana Tova, Ume Tuka, dip your apple in the eye. Hashanah, Hashanah, hear the sounds of jubilation. It's Rosh Hashanah. They come to worship, yeah, there's no Hosanna. Sweet and light for those boundless with joy and love. Hear our prayer, O Lord, the sound is like a sinner for God. Rosh Hashanah, Hashanah, hear the sounds of jubilation. It's Rosh Hashanah. Give us life, Lord, and sustain us. Oh, deliver us to salvation. Give us life, Lord, and sustain us. Oh, deliver us to salvation.
Lashana Tova, everyone. May you have a sweet, sweet new year. Let's keep dipping our apples in the honey and go for it.
I like that song.
Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome. That is.
Woo!